Chapter 51 Draco, Today is Really Not in Vain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After wrapping Abbe in an invisibility cloak, Harry and the others walked out of the auditorium. They looked around carefully, making sure that no one was paying attention, and then walked towards Hagrid's hut without stopping, but as soon as they walked outside the castle, they were spotted by Draco and his two followers who were taking a walk. "Where are you going?" Draco stood in the middle of the road and asked meaningfully, "The common room is not here." "Don't worry about it." Ron pushed Draco away after saying this, and quickly walked through the corridor with a slightly guilty Harry and Hermione. "That's rude," said Crabbe indignantly. Draco also had a bit of sullen expression on his face. If it was normal, he would definitely give Weasley a hard meal, but he has grown a lot during this time. Weasley can have no self-cultivation, but Malfoy can't. "What are they doing outside the castle at night?" Goyle asked suspiciously. "It's almost curfew time." "What can you do?" Draco smiled disdainfully. "The forest guard of the giant family outside the castle has something to do with them, and that is the only place they can go." As soon as he finished speaking, Draco's face became a little strange. "It's very suspicious." "What are they doing there at night?" "Maybe it's to reminisce about the old days." Crabbe didn't think too much about it. After all, the three of Harry and Hagrid really had a good relationship. "No." Draco began to pace slowly. "If it's reminiscing about the old days, it's unnecessary at this time, and the curfew is not too long away, and if you can't get back to the dormitory in time, you will be deducted points. Moreover, they seem to be a little sneaky just now, as if they had done something shameful. On top of that, I didn't see Abbe. Aaron must have given his cat to that Hermione Granger." "There is a problem, there is definitely a problem." Crabbe asked hesitantly, "Then, shall we follow up and have a look?" "Don't be ridiculous, it's almost curfew now." Gore said weakly, "Going back to sleep is the real thing. What if we can't make it?" "Then hurry back before the curfew." Draco said meaningfully, "It's not a problem to go faster." Crabbe and Goyle looked at each other and nodded helplessly. Knowing the destination, the three of Draco were not in such a hurry, and walked slowly towards Hagrid's hut. On the other side, Harry and the others ran to Hagrid's cabin out of breath. Boom. 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 The three kept knocking on the wooden door. A few seconds later, Hagrid opened the door. When he saw the three of Harry, he had a helpless expression on his face. "Hi. I'm sorry, don't blame me for being rude, I don't have time to play with you today." Just as Hagrid was about to close the door, Harry took out Abe, who had been wrapped in the invisibility cloak. "You might want this." Hagrid's eyes lit up, looking at the sleeping white cat. His eyes were full of interest. "You really did it?" "I think you have to invite us in," Ron said playfully. "Of course, come in quickly." The three of them entered the hut and found that the temperature was extremely high, suffocatingly hot. "It's spring now, why is your fire still burning so hot here?" Hermione asked, a little puzzled. "That's not important." Hagrid enthusiastically made tea for the three of them, and a big hand couldn't help grabbing the sleeping Abe. "Wait." Harry stopped Hagrid. "Cat, we brought it, shouldn't you also tell us who else participated in the mechanism designed to protect the Philosopher's Stone?" "I can tell you that I mean what I say, but you must not tell it, let alone say that I told you." Hagrid snapped his fingers reluctantly as he said, "Dumbledore, he borrowed Mau from me, and he also cast magic on it by the way. Besides him, there are Professor Snape, Professor McGonagall, Professor Sprout, Professor Flitwick. Oh, and Professor Quirrell." "That's all, then Abe, shouldn't you let me see it?" Hermione put the cat in her arms on the table with some hesitation. "Let me be clear first, you can only look at it, you can also touch it, but you must not hurt it." "Don't worry, I will never harm animals," Hagrid said solemnly. "I just want to find out what kind of creature Abe is." What Hagrid didn't know was that as he was saying this, Draco and his two followers happened to arrive at the cabin. Hearing this, the three of them looked at each other with a little shock in their eyes. "Today is really not in vain," Draco said with a sneer. "I thought Granger was Aaron's good friend." "Unexpectedly, it's really knowing people and knowing the face but not knowing the heart." This is a shameful betrayal. Crabbe said angrily, his round face became a little distorted. Normal. Having spent so much time with Weasley and the savior Harry Potter, it seems like a matter of course to be bad. Draco waved his hand and said in a low voice, the most urgent task now is to inform Aaron to come over, and it is best to catch one, otherwise they will never admit it. I'll stand guard here and rush in to protect Abe when necessary, you two hurry back and call him. But the curfew is coming soon. Gore hesitated, it will definitely be too late this time around. Stupid. Draco said angrily, Filch is the only one who patrols the huge Hogwarts at night, as long as he doesn't catch him, everything will be fine. Besides, I'm Malfoy, even if I'm caught, he won't do anything to me, at worst, points will be deducted. Hurry up, if you are late, you may be too late. Draco's attitude was extremely firm, and Crabbe and Goyle naturally didn't dare to raise any objections. They themselves were also very disdainful of the behavior of the three of Harry. After they walked away from Hagrid's cabin lightly, they broke out at a speed that they couldn't usually reach, and rushed towards the dormitory. Draco was a little surprised when he saw this, and the corners of his mouth twitched even more, and he even wondered if these two followers were playing him at ordinary times. This is not the speed that a fat man can show at all. At this time, a strange sound came from the cabin, which attracted Draco's attention. Ding, ding, ding. There was a sound of the pot lid hitting suddenly, and Hagrid stood up from his seat immediately. The three of them also looked behind Hagrid in unison. There was a pot shaking constantly on the strong fire. Hagrid, wearing a pair of thick gloves, fished out a burnt, somewhat blackened egg from the pot. This egg was a bit big, and the surface was extremely hot. Even wearing a pair of gloves, Hagrid felt that it was extremely hot, so he quickly put it on the table. No one noticed that Abe, who was sleeping soundly, suddenly moved his nose at this moment, as if smelling something delicious, and slowly opened his sleepy eyes. Hagrid, what the hell is this? Harry asked curiously. This is an article, it is an article. I know what it is, said Ron, and his face became strange. But Hagrid, how did you get it? Won it from a stranger. Hagrid rolled his eyes slightly. For some reason, he seems to want to lose to me. As soon as the words fell, a black crack appeared on the surface of the eggshell. The whole egg kept shaking, and white steam spewed out from the crack. 4 people, no, counting Draco outside the window, all 5 of them held their breath, watching this scene nervously. A few seconds later, the egg shell shattered, and the fragments of the upper part shot around. Fortunately, the 4 people around the egg were not hit by these hot egg pieces. A jet-black claw protruded from the lower half of the eggshell, and attached to the claw was a prickly wing. With a few light flaps of its wings, most of the egg slices on the table were swung away, and a jet-black young dragon appeared in front of everyone. This dragon is not very beautiful, its head is only the size of a fist, because it has just hatched from an egg, and its body is still wet. It let out a soft cry and looked around blankly. There was still a long layer of mucus hanging from the corner of its mouth, but it showed strong vitality and moved its limbs on the table. Is this a dragon? Hermione looked at Hagrid in astonishment. She knew that there were dragons in the magic world, and she had seen them in books, but when a real dragon appeared in front of her, besides feeling lucky and surprised, she was more at a loss. It's not only a dragon, but also a Norwegian ridgeback. Ron said firmly, my brother studied dragons in Romania. It's beautiful. Hagrid smiled gently, then stretched out his fingers and stroked the Norwegian ridgeback's head. Look at this little guy, he thinks of me as his mother, right, Norbert? Hagrid had just finished naming the dragon when his Norbert sneezed, and a cloud of dragon flame shot out from its nose, burning a large area of Hagrid's thick beard. Chapter 52 Accidentally Abducted a Fantastic Beast. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hagrid kept patting his beard to extinguish the sparks on it. This group of dragon flames was a bit caught off guard, but Hagrid still looked at Norbert with loving eyes. Of course, it still needs some training. Noble coughed a few times, and black smoke mixed with sparks spewed out of his mouth. Click, click. Suddenly there was a strange sound in the cabin. What sound? Hermione frowned. Hagrid, what other magical creatures do you have? No more, really no more, although I also want to raise more, but Hogwarts does not allow it. Besides, hatching Noble took most of my energy. But what's the matter with this sound? Ron asked inexplicably. It's like the eggshell is cracked, and it cracks very frequently. I think I know what's going on. Harry stretched out his index finger and pointed to the other side of the table in astonishment. Abe, who did not know when he woke up, was chewing on a piece of broken eggshell, chewing slowly, apparently still eating with relish. For Abe, the quality of these eggshells is incomparable to its own, and there is almost only a little bit of magic power in it, and there is no nutrition, but no matter how small a mosquito is, it is still meat. The eggshells of a baby dragon are also a good snack when it is in its infancy, crunchy, chicken leg flavor. What? Hermione's eyes widened. Didn't you say it was safe? What's the situation now? How do I know? Ron was also surprised, but still explained, there shouldn't be any problems with our plan. If you don't believe me, ask Harry. Even if something goes wrong with my carelessness, he is the second insurance. Harry thought of something, and put a purple vial on the table, then stared at Hagrid with some complaints. Hagrid, has the sleeping pill you gave expired? That's impossible. Hagrid picked up the sleeping pill and explained patiently, as long as it's for animals, I won't allow myself to make any mistakes. In other words, there are no expired medicines in my cabin. Could it be that you added too little? The three of them looked at each other in blank dismay. They wished that they had made such a low-level mistake, but the reality was the opposite. Hagrid, these two idiots gave Abe 6 drops of sleeping pills. If this is considered a small amount, we really don't know how much to add. We can't add the whole bottle. 6 drops. Hagrid looked at Harry and Ron, who were guilty, and lowered their heads in astonishment. Are you crazy? Even lions, tigers, and even elephants can be paralyzed with 1 drop. Even a magical animal baby like Norbert could take 5 drops for a nap. Do you bully a cat with 6 drops? Do you think it is more powerful than a dragon? Actually, it was really an accident. Harry said weakly. Besides, isn't Abe still alive and kicking now? Hagrid froze for a moment, turned his head to look at Abe, who was nibbling on the eggshell, and then looked carefully at the purple vial, feeling a little at a loss for a moment. This is impossible. Ron breathed a sigh of relief when he saw this. I'll just say it. The sleeping pill must have expired. What nonsense! I bought this at a huge price, and the shelf life is still 3 years away. Then how do you explain that? A cat can't handle it, and I seriously doubt you, Hagrid, have been tricked. I can't be mistaken. Hagrid shook his head, a gleam flashed in his eyes. There is only one possibility in the current situation. Abe is not a cat. I was just skeptical at first, but now I'm % sure. Abe is definitely a magical animal, and its quality is definitely not low, even better than dragons and phoenixes. Gollum. Hearing this, Harry, Ron, and Hermione all swallowed. They thought they were going to steal the cat, and the pressure in their hearts wasn't that great. At most, it was a prank among classmates, as long as it didn't get discovered. But now there is a reversal of polarity and abduction of a magical animal. This is too exciting for him. If the people from the Department of Management and Control of Fantastic Beasts know this, the 3 of them, no, counting Hagrid as 4 people, the 4 of them might be invited to the Ministry of Magic for tea. Draco outside the hut was also shocked. He was even a little glad that he risked being caught by Filch to stay here tonight. Originally, catching the evidence of Granger's betrayal was quite fruitful, but who knew that he was lucky enough to see the broken shell of the dragon, which was simply a surprise. Buy 1 get 1 free. To wipe out the 4 Gryffindors at once, even if he, Draco Malfoy, was caught by Filch, it was worth it, but I never expected that there would be an Easter egg at the end. Abe was not a cat, but a magical animal comparable to dragons and phoenixes, but when you think about it carefully, this is also a matter of course. After all, Abe's behavior is not like a cat at all. It is too smart, too cute, and too human. If such a cat were to be sold, he would buy 1 no matter what. I hope Crabbe and Gore can be faster. Although this drama is exciting, the absence of Aaron is a bit of a fly in the ointment. Inside the hut, Ron stammered, Hagrid, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Hagrid smiled meaningfully. Have you ever seen a cat eat eggshells? Or dragon eggshells? Ron's face froze, the facts were in front of him, and he couldn't help but not believe it. Then what do we do now? Harry asked. This is a magical creature, not an ordinary cat. Hagrid, do you still watch? Of course we have to. Abe is likely to be a magical creature that has not yet been discovered in the magic world, and it is very necessary to observe it. But Abe is awake now, not asleep. We can't catch it with our hands. Hermione frowned worriedly. What if I hurt it? How can I explain to Aaron? Hermione. Hagrid took a deep breath and said patiently, I have always regarded magical animals as friends, and I promise not to hurt them. After saying that, Hagrid stood up, picked up the umbrella with the wand hidden in it, and walked towards Abe cautiously, even ignoring Norbert who was waiting for food on the table. But the next moment, Hermione blocked him with her arms outstretched, raised her head and looked at him. Not to be outdone. No, I can't let you do this. Why? Abe was brought here by me, and I have the responsibility to protect it. Hagrid was taken aback for a moment, then scratched his head with a smirk. I'm not willing to hurt it either, Hermione. I'm really curious about Abe. You know my love for fantastic beasts. I just want to observe it up close. Isn't that okay? Don't forget, you promised me. Can't speak doesn't count. Hermione bit her lip, feeling very entangled in her heart, and regretted being on Harry and Ron's pirate ship. Hagrid told them about the people involved in protecting the Philosopher's Stone, and they would naturally reciprocate and meet his conditions. Originally, this was nothing. Hagrid was a simple and honest giant, and also their good friend. His character was absolutely trustworthy, but the problem is that Abe's identity is too complicated. With Hagrid's love for magical animals, God knows what he will do. He dared to violate the school rules and secretly raise a Norwegian Ridgeback in the school, which is enough to explain the problem. If they accidentally get on the head, they might go to Aaron directly, and then everything will be ruined, and there will probably be a big crack in their relationship. As if seeing Hermione's embarrassment, Hagrid turned his head and looked at Harry and Ron helplessly, hoping that these two Gryffindors could help him talk, but the two of them looked up at the ceiling very tacitly, pretending that they didn't see anything. What a joke. They just don't like to study, but their IQ and EQ are not low. It's not easy to help anyone in this situation, and staying out of the matter is the best choice. Okay. Hermione. Hagrid put down his umbrella. I admit that I like fantastic beasts, but you are also my favorite Gryffindors. Since you don't want to, I won't make things difficult for you. Thank you. Hermione breathed a sigh of relief, and then looked at Hagrid with some shame. Sorry, I made you happy for nothing. Hagrid smiled and said, There's nothing to be sorry about. I have been very lucky this evening. Norbert was born, and it was confirmed that Abe was a magical animal. Afterwards, if I want to get in touch with it at close range, I will find a way to talk to Aaron, and then you have to help me talk. I will, but Abe is not so important to Aaron. I can't make any guarantees. There will always be a chance. Aaron will study at Hogwarts for 7 years. Hagrid looked at Abe who was walking towards the next eggshell with some reluctance. Let's look at my Norbert first. Chapter 53 Meeting of Two Young Dragons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hagrid teased the newborn Norbert, but from time to time his eyes glanced at Abe who was nibbling on the eggshell, his eyes full of novelty. Now he hopes that Abe can come over by himself and let him take a closer look. It would be great if he could touch it with his hands, but with Hermione looking at him seriously here, this idea is just wishful thinking. Harry and Ron admired Norbert with great interest. Unlike Hagrid, they tried their best to steal Abe's cat these days. They had already experienced the luxury of Hagrid's close observation and stroking. In contrast, Norbert, the Norwegian Ridgeback, was more attractive to them. Abe may be an unknown magical creature, but it's also unlikely that it's beyond the apex of magical animals. The dragon, meanwhile, Crabbe and Goyle finally made it to the Slytherin common room. Pure blood. Enter the password to enter the door. The two of them entered the dormitory without any delay. Aaron, something big happened, very big thing. Crabbe said out of breath. What's the matter? Aaron looked at the two calmly. Where's Draco? It's curfew and he didn't come back with you. It was he who asked the two of us to notify you. Gore added anxiously while panting, there is no time, you go with us. Calm down, what happened? Gore, tell me. Harry Potter, Ron, and Hermione, they. What happened? They took Abe to Hagrid's. What? Aaron thumped in his heart, and immediately stood up from the bed. Are you sure you read it right? Absolutely not, one could be wrong, but all three of us can't be wrong, Crabbe said. Good guy, I just said how could Hermione ask me to borrow Abe? It turned out that it was premeditated. Hagrid, you really misunderstood the guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes for playing such a bad move. That is, if we didn't see it with our own eyes, we wouldn't believe it. Crabbe said, Aaron, go and see it. I'm going right now, you two stay in the dormitory obediently, so don't follow. But. No but, listen to me, I'll explain it to Draco. Aaron's tone was undeniable, and he felt that Abbe's identity might not be concealed, that being the case, try to minimize the influence as much as possible, and the fewer people who know about it, the better. Crabbe and Goyle looked at each other and nodded. They were unwilling to turn back if they could stay in the dormitory and sleep, for a quick night run. The fat two of them can still carry it, but if they do it again, they probably have to go halfway. Aaron quickly changed his clothes. Just in case, he took out a spare pet suit from the closet. After coming out of the Slytherin common room, he ran in the direction of the Forbidden Forest. I hope there is still time, my stupid dragon, you have to protect yourself and never take off your clothes. What he didn't know was that after he ran out for a while, Mrs. Norris came out of the shadows, looking at the figure running wildly under the moonlight. A gleam of light flashed in the cat's pupils, click, click. 10 minutes passed, and Abe finished eating the eggshells scattered in the hut. Although it was only % full, it still patted its stomach with satisfaction. It looked around, glanced at Hagrid, Harry, Ron, and then settled on the young lady that the master asked him to accompany, immediately walked over with strides, and then jumped lightly, jumping in front of Hermione. Come here. Hermione beckoned to Abe, and took him into her arms under Hagrid's longing eyes. Hermione. Hagrid smiled sheepishly. Abe looks pretty good, see if I can, you understand. I'm afraid it won't work. Abe would not let strangers touch him when he was sober. She's telling the truth, Hagrid, laughed Harry, we've been feeding him for days, but he'll bark his teeth in protest when you put your hand on it. It is recommended that you do not try it, it will be bad if you are bitten. Ha! I'm not afraid of this. Hagrid stretched out his finger to Norbert and blocked its mouth. The next moment, Noble bit the giant's finger, but Hagrid was unmoved. He was an adult giant with rough skin and thick flesh. The bite of a baby dragon less than an hour old could cause a little harm to a child, but to him it was just scratching. See, it's impossible for Abe's teeth to be sharper than dragons. However, within 3 seconds of showing off, Norbert coughed, and fist-sized flames spewed out of its mouth, with Hagrid's fingers bearing the brunt. Hiss! Hagrid gasped, and hurriedly put his fingers in the water glass to cool down. After a while, Hagrid raised his head and met 3 pairs of playful eyes, and said with a sneer, I just set a wrong example. Of course, I also use practical actions to tell you that no matter when you are not absolutely sure, don't put your body in front of the dragon's mouth. Puff. The 3 of them couldn't help laughing, and Hermione hugged Abe even tighter. Hagrid, you better restrain your thoughts. If you force it. I don't want to see Abe bite you. Nothing. Besides, Abe can't spit fire, so the danger is not that great. How about this, you let me try it, and if it doesn't agree, I will give up immediately. Okay. Hermione nodded hesitantly. She didn't want to agree in her heart, but she also knew that Hagrid would never be reconciled if he didn't let Hagrid try it. Hagrid was overjoyed, stretched out his huge palm to Abe nervously, excitedly and apprehensively, but Abe didn't care. Just when Hagrid's palm was about to touch it, it jumped from Hermione's arms onto the table and escaped perfectly. Okay. Hagrid spread his hands, the first contact failed. Hermione smiled speechlessly, and just as she was about to hug Abe, she found that the little guy was staring at Norbert in front of her. Stop making trouble, it's a dragon, don't get too close, be careful of being burned by the dragon's breath. Ignoring Hermione's reminder, Abe walked straight forward and stopped about, centimeters in front of Noble. The two dragons looked at each other at close range, and Noble shook his head because he didn't understand. He could feel the throbbing in his blood, and the opposite seemed to be a dragon, and Abe looked at Norbert curiously. This was the first time he saw a dragon other than him. It was completely different from the illustrations in the illustrated book, and it was the same kind of real life, but after looking at it for a while, there was a touch of disgust in its eyes. This dragon is not as good looking as it is. Harry, did I read it wrong just now? Ron rubbed his eyes. Why do you think Abe doesn't like Norbert? I seem to have seen it too. It felt weird, similar to the way Draco looked at us. Impossible. Hagrid said displeased. This is clearly a historic meeting of two magical animal cubs. How sacred. You must be mistaken. Don't worry about it so much, just separate them quickly. Don't forget, Abe is in front of Longzhui now. It's too dangerous. It's okay, Hermione, both Abe and Noble should be regarded as cubs, and they might just be curious about each other's identities. Nothing will go wrong. Said the old god Hagrid. It is not uncommon for magical animals to fight, but it is very rare. Only adult magical animals will use fights to solve problems because of food, territory, spouses and other reasons, unless they are natural enemies and can receive warnings in the blood. Otherwise the cubs will not have any major conflicts under normal circumstances. Seeing that Hagrid was so sure, Hermione also breathed a sigh of relief. After all, Hagrid was the warden of the forest, and he often dealt with the creatures in the Forbidden Forest. In this respect, he was the authority at Hogwarts. Abe was about to leave after glancing at Noble with a little disgust, but just as he was about to leave, he saw a few eggshells on the table, and his eyes lit up instantly. It walked behind Norbert unhurriedly, lowered its body, and picked up one of them. Click. There was a clear and crisp sound, as if the signal for war had been sounded, and the hearts of the few people present were raised in their throats. Hagrid. Harry looked at the two magical animals on the table and couldn't help swallowing. Although I don't read much, I can tell, this should be considered a provocation. This. Hagrid nodded hesitantly. Obviously, yes. Should be all right? Ron asked with a twitching corner of his mouth. I don't know, it's also my first time raising a dragon. There is no mention in the book of what happens to the baby dragons when they are provoked. Hearing this, several people looked at Norbert nervously, hoping that this Norwegian Ridgeback would have a larger belly and not be as knowledgeable as Abe, but contrary to expectations, Norbert is also a dragon. Although he was just born, he also knows what the dignity of a dragon is. Gnawing its shell in front of it is like rubbing its dragon face on the ground. Even a dragon can't stand it. The next moment, Norbert raised his head slightly, and a little red appeared on the neck, and it became deeper and deeper. No, break them apart, Hagrid yelled. Chapter 54. Let them fight. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hagrid was a bit late in reminding. Almost at the same time his words fell, a group of fiery dragon flames with a destructive aura rushed towards Abe under the horrified eyes of everyone. Seeing this scene, everyone's heart went crazy. It's over now. If Aaron knows that Abe is injured, they will definitely have nothing to eat. However, what happened next made their hearts drop in their throats. While gnawing on the eggshell, Abe felt the terrifying high temperature coming from behind him. He lowered his head subconsciously, and the dragon flame directly brushed past its head. Without any danger, a ball of flames flew over his head, and Abe touched the hat on his head with his right paw in a daze, and found that there was a trace of burnt on it, and he became angry immediately. This dress was specially prepared for it by its owner's mother. It was one of the few clothes that had the traceless stretching spell added, and it was also its favorite. Its entire net worth and almost all its snacks are in this dress, and it will be fine if it is burned. Click. Abe bit the eggshell in his mouth, turned around angrily, looked at Noble who was smoking black smoke from the corner of his mouth, and let out a cry that didn't belong to a cat. Roar, that the faint coercion quickly spread on the table, and Norbert also took half a step back involuntarily, but soon it calmed down and took a step forward not to be outdone. So what if it's big? It's a Norwegian Ridgeback, a carnivorous fire dragon, completely different from those that eat grass. Isn't it just that the appearance is a little higher than it? Just this stupid and cute appearance has no deterrent effect at all. And I can't beat it if I don't believe it. Fuck. It's a real hammer. This is definitely not a cat. Ron said in surprise. Don't talk about that now, separate them quickly, or something will happen. Hagrid said, picked up his umbrella, and gave Abe a feint. At the same time, a spell from Hermione also flew towards Norbert. Noble staggered for a second and then stood up straight. The damage caused by this spell was almost negligible. The dragon's skin is very resistant to the stun spell, although it is the most vulnerable when it is just born, but Hermione was just a first-year freshman, equivalent to a cub and a wizard, and the spell she released was even less threatening to it than Hagrid's palm. If Norbert's side was normal, then Abe's side was outrageous. When the red curse hit it, a layer of sacred white scales appeared under its clothes, offsetting the curse. How could this be? Hagrid said to himself in bewilderment, it doesn't make sense. That he admitted that he was merciful just now, and it was too late for him to take care of the cubs of magical animals, so how could he use all his strength? But even so, Abe should have shaken it a little bit, instead of being intact like he is now, just like a normal person. In addition to highlighting Abe's unusualness, this also showed that he was somewhat incompetent as a forestry guard. Hermione and Hagrid looked at each other, planning to continue casting spells, but before they could raise their wands, the two dragons each roared, scaring them both away. Abe bared his teeth at Hagrid, gave a simple warning, and then walked towards Norbert unhurriedly. Revenge is also prioritized. First beat up the dragon cub who damaged its clothes. As for Hagrid having a chance to tickle him again, with its current physique, it may not be able to beat it, but this does not prevent it from remembering this honest-looking giant first. It grows so big, that is to say, the owner has cast a levitation spell on it when it was an egg, and no one has cast a spell on it other than that. Hagrid, what should we do? Hermione gripped her wand tightly and couldn't help swallowing. There is no way to stop it now. It is estimated that Norbert's dragon's breath just now pissed Abe off. If they don't let them fight, they probably won't be able to swallow this breath. Hagrid said helplessly, and I think Abe seems to have a grudge against me. That's not okay. Hermione said and was about to step forward to slip Abby away, but was stopped by a thick arm. It's best not to intervene. This is like a conflict between children. It's just a small fight, but if we don't let them solve it by themselves now, when these two magical animals grow up, I don't know what will happen to them. But Noble is a dragon after all. Abe can't beat it. You can't say that. Hagrid said with a smile. Norbert just broke his shell after all, and Abe still has the advantage in terms of size. Don't worry, I'll do it when it's time to do it. But Hermione hesitated. No matter what, I can't let Abe get hurt, otherwise I can't explain it. Hagrid frowned. To protect Abe, it meant that he might have to attack Norbert later. He planned to raise this young dragon as a child, so he was naturally reluctant to do so. However, thinking that the development of the matter to this point has something to do with him, coupled with Hermione's almost pleading eyes, Hagrid nodded. I promise you. Thank you. Hermione breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, Abbe had already walked up to Norbert, relying on his physical advantage to look down at the Norwegian ridgeback coldly. Noble naturally refused to be inferior to the dragon, and was about to fly up with flapping wings. However, Abe took the first step, and before Norbert was in the air, the white claws fell down fiercely with the force of thunder. Boom. The strong wind hit his face, and Norbert couldn't open his eyes, and took several steps back before he could react. Feeling the severe pain from the dragon's face, Noble's eyes were full of anger, and he was about to spit out a mouthful of dragon's breath. But Abe rushed to it quickly, and raised its neck dozens of degrees with an uppercut. It's great to be able to breathe fire, but it's useless if you can't hit it. Although Abe is quite envious of this skill, he is not jealous. As time goes by, it will have more and more skills, and dragon breath is just one of them. Boom. The blazing dragon flame shot straight to the ceiling, but after all, Norbert is still young, and his lung capacity is quite limited, so the dragon's breath dissipated in the air within half a meter. My God! Ron said with his eyes widened in disbelief. Noble won't lose. It's a dragon. Is now the time to care about this? Harry said speechlessly. Hagrid, you better stop them quickly. You live in a log house, Abe said, but if Norbert goes on we'll have to fight the fire. Wait a little longer, my Norbert will definitely not lose. Hagrid's eyes sparkled. Dragons are the most dangerous magical creatures. He didn't think that his fire dragon would be no match for an unknown magical creature. The corner of Harry's mouth twitched. Hagrid would lose his calm when facing these magical animals. If it wasn't for not being strong enough to stop them, he would have done it himself. The battle between the two young dragons continued, but the process was unexpectedly one-sided. Norbert had almost no strength to fight back, and was beaten several times by Abe. When Noble's eyes were full of stars, it turned over and pressed onto Noble's back. Its two hind legs stepped on Noble's wings, and then swung its front paws and beat it hard on the head. Boom! Noble shook his head, and lay powerlessly on the table. After the battle, Abe strutted up to Hermione as a victor, then turned around and gave Hagrid a contemptuous look, as if to say that your dragon is not as powerful as mine. Hagrid didn't seem to notice, walked up to Norbert, and stroked the whimpering baby dragon. Hiss! Why are you pinching me? Ron asked, looking at Harry complainingly. It's okay, it doesn't look like a dream. Harry sneered, but how is it possible? The Norwegian Ridgeback lost. It should have been caused by Norbert's carelessness. Hagrid was a little unconvinced, and tried to find some reasons for his fire dragon to comfort him. First of all, Norbert is still young, he was born less than an hour ago, and when he encountered a larger size Abe, who is more than twice as big as it, will naturally suffer some losses. Secondly, they are melee combat, the space is too small, and Norbert can't play it at all. What's more important is that Norbert's wings didn't play any role. It is a dragon, and the combination of flames and flying can perfectly exert its combat power. All in all, at the same age, the winner must be Noble. It seems that it makes sense. Ron nodded, judging from Abe's size and the amount of food he eats, he must be at least 3 years old. That just when several people thought that the matter had come to an end, Noble suddenly spewed out a dragon's breath without talking about martial arts, and knocked Abe, who declared victory, away. The sneak attack is shameful, but it was beaten too badly, completely defeated, or the kind that is completely bruised. Dragons are proud and arrogant. After being born, they have experienced such a nightmare. Which dragon can bear this? My God! Hagrid stared at the white figure flying out of the table with wide eyes, feeling a little at a loss for a moment. Harry and Ron were also a little dazed. Isn't it over? But what's the matter? Can't afford it. Engage in a sneak attack. Abe! Hermione yelled anxiously, and quickly ran over to check on Abe's situation. Chapter 55 Switching Battle Modes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Hermione approached, she found that Abe was intact, but part of her clothes were scorched, which was completely different from what she expected to be burned by dragon flames. While she was relieved, she also saw the burning anger in Abe's eyes. Roar! Abe roared at Noble. This time the power was much greater than before. At the same time, its body changed slightly, a layer of smooth white scales appeared on its skin, its claws extended a few inches, and its teeth became sharper and sharper. Beast, Gollum! Everyone's eyes widened when they saw this scene, and they all swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Hagrid, you know a lot about magical creatures. Do you know what kind of species this transforms? Harry asked nervously. I don't know, there are indeed some magical beasts that can transform, but Abe is not one of them. Moreover, Abe is obviously a cub, and there are very few people with this ability at this stage. Hagrid said meaningfully, but soon his face became serious. The situation is not good, its current state is obviously used for fighting, and it seems that it is really angry. So what? Ron asked. What can we do? Stop them. Hagrid said as he picked up his umbrella and cast a spell on Abe, but it was easily dodged by Abe, who was fully fired. It ignored Hagrid, but ran to the table at an extremely fast speed, and then slapped Norbert's head hard. Snapped. At the critical moment, Noble spread his wings and flew into the air. Abe's blow missed, but everyone did not relax at all, because there was a clear paw print on the table. Hagrid's heart was even more heavy. The power of this blow was almost several times that of just now. If the shot was real, although Norbert would not lose his ability to fight, a serious injury would be unavoidable. He didn't know how to treat the young dragon's concussion, and he could only hope that Noble would recover on his own. Although it is a bit exaggerated, it is true. Adult dragons are very terrifying and have few opponents, but young dragons that have just hatched are quite fragile, and even ordinary muggles can easily kill them. Abe looked at Noble flying above his head, gritted his teeth angrily, and made a gurgling sound. Norbert didn't care about it. It could breathe fire and fly, and it was naturally invincible, so there was nothing to be afraid of. If it didn't take this opportunity to avenge the beating just now, it would be ashamed to call itself a dragon. A ball of flame shot out from its mouth and landed on the tabletop where Abe was standing. The fire spread rapidly and burned the top of half of the wooden table to black. Abe didn't catch the dragon's breath, and jumped to the floor the moment the flame fell. Neither of the two dragons took advantage, but from the perspective of a bystander, Noble undoubtedly had the advantage. Unless Abe can fly, it will be a matter of time before he loses. Noble looked down at Abe, his orange eyes were full of complacency. Abe also noticed its provocation, and bent down while roaring angrily. It kicked its legs back, picked up speed suddenly, and started running in Hagrid's hut. The white figure flitted across the ground, boxes, windows, and cabinets. After a run-up, it jumped up, and its sharp claws wiped sparks on the wall. Noble! No! Hagrid and Hermione yelled in unison. Harry and Ron couldn't help closing their eyes. They were a little afraid to look at the next picture. With its current speed and the sharpness of its minions, if it hit Norbert, it would probably leave an indelible psychological shadow on the young dragon. When the sharp claws stabbed over, Norbert also lost his mind for a moment, but being born as a dragon also has certain advantages. Before the brain could react, the body had subconsciously reacted, and narrowly escaped the blow sideways. Abe fell to the ground, and because of inertia, he ran forward a few steps as a buffer. Noble flapped his wings, his eyes became a little more dignified. At the beginning, it thought that it was a sure win, and Longshing took a chubby fellow of the same kind in the first fight, which was not a disgrace to its name as Norwegian Ridgeback, but who would have thought that the opponent still has this kind of attack method? This is simply cheating. It's a pity that this place is indoors, which seriously limits its ability to play. On the contrary, it provides Abe with a certain degree of convenience and opportunities to attack. If it is outdoors, its chances of winning will definitely be greatly increased. As expected of my Norbert. Hagrid breathed a sigh of relief, and gently patted his chest with his left hand, and the whole giant relaxed a lot. Abe's attack method just now really shocked him, but this kind of surprise attack was only effective for the first time. Now that Norbert is prepared, this kind of tactic will be greatly reduced. Hearing Hagrid's exclamation, Harry and Ron also opened their eyes. Looking at the situation that was almost the same as before, they were a little overwhelmed for a while. How did this happen? Norbert took it down. Ron murmured, as expected of a dragon. This skin is really thick. No. Hermione gave him a blank look and said, it avoided it, it should have avoided it instinctively. That's even more remarkable, said Harry, and of course Abe is great too. Is it really a cub? Now is not the time to talk about that. Hermione smiled wryly, and was going to pick up Abe. If these two magical animals were to fight again, Hagrid's hut would probably have to be rebuilt, but before Hermione took the first step, Norbert swooped down, and a cloud of dragon flames spewed out of its mouth. The flames hit his face, and Abe quickly jumped back to avoid the burning range of the flames, and then prepared to fight back. But after all, Noble had endured a fat beating, so he naturally knew the importance of keeping a distance, so he raised his flight altitude when Abe rushed over. The white right claw was only a few centimeters away from Noble's wing, and it began to fall under the action of gravity, and the limbs fluttered twice in mid-air before falling to the ground. Hilarious yet downright cute. Seeing this, Noble roared provocatively once or twice, and spread his wings and circled over Abe's head several times. Faced with this kind of naked showing off, Abe scratched his heart in resentment, and the parts on both sides of his body began to swell slightly. Hagrid, are all magical animals like this? Hermione asked with a twitching corner of her mouth. You're right, this is indeed a riot among children, but isn't this dragon's mind too small? Hagrid was stunned for a moment, his eyes rolled slightly. I have never encountered this kind of situation, and it is necessary to record it. Also, Hermione, I have to remind you of something. Fantastic animals are not common items, they are very rare, and ordinary wizards may not see one in their lifetime. and cubs of magical animals are even rarer, so don't ask me everything, I don't know everything. But who else can I ask besides you? Dumbledore. I'm sure he's seen as many magical creatures as I do, and he even has one. Hagrid paused for a moment, then shut his mouth immediately. A what? Harry asked with interest. It can't be said, this is his privacy. Hagrid raised his umbrella with a smirk. It's already very lively tonight, let's separate these two little guys now. Pay attention, this time I intend to use my full strength. After Hagrid finished speaking, Harry and the others breathed a sigh of relief. There are two fighting magical animal cubs in the room, one of which is considered the most dangerous dragon in the wizarding world. But none of them worried. Just because Hagrid was here, he may not be as powerful as Dumbledore, but he has quite a lot of experience with magical animals, with the exception of Abbe of course. Hagrid waved the umbrella with a smile, and a reddish light appeared on the tip of the umbrella. Just as he was about to cast a spell, his movement stopped abruptly. He just stared at the front in astonishment, and the faint red light on the tip of the umbrella also disappeared. It's really unbelievable. Hagrid murmured, among the magical creatures, the only one comparable to it is the noble unicorn. The three followed Hagrid's gaze in confusion, and opened their mouths wide at the same time. I saw Abe's clothes on the left and right sides were stretched out, a pair of white wings were exposed, and the white aura shone on its skin, highlighting the divine aura, revealing the wings. Abe also flew up, and the whole dragon stood upright in mid-air and looked at Noble. Norbert was stunned, and an ominous premonition welled up in his heart. It subconsciously spit out a mouthful of dragon's breath, but Abe didn't dodge this time. He used his wings to block in front of him, and the few magic energy in his body worked on its own to form a white magic circle, blocking the dragon's breath. Then Abe bared his teeth at Noble, swung his claws and punched him. The two young dragons collided quickly in the air, but Abe was stronger than the newborn Norbert in every aspect. Although he couldn't breathe dragon breath, he still beat him. Hagrid's hut continued to hear the sound of ping-pong-pong, and at the same time Aaron rushed over panting. Chapter 56 Is That Forget It? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Draco lay prone outside the window, watching the battle inside with great interest, completely oblivious to the figure behind him. Snapped. A hand slapped Draco's shoulder suddenly, startling him, but before he could cry out, Aaron covered his mouth. Don't get excited, it's me. Aaron, you're here. Draco whispered. How's the situation? It's incredible that Hagrid has a Norwegian Ridgeback, but what I never expected is that Abe actually has wings, and is not so powerful that he can fight young dragons. Gift crab. Aaron held his forehead and shook his head. It's still exposed. After speaking, he walked to the wooden door, ready to kick it open. Wait a minute. Draco hurriedly stopped him, and said with a meaningful smile, a holy war between magical animal cubs is going on in this hut. I suggest we wait until they decide the winner before we go in. There is also a giant and 3 Gryffindors inside. By then, my Abe may be bullied. Aaron ignored him and kicked the door. Boom. The wooden door shook violently, and a layer of dust fell from above. The sound immediately aroused the vigilance of everyone in the hut. Hagrid first glanced at Norbert and Abe who were fighting in mid-air, and then made a silent gesture to Harry and the others. Who is it? I slept all night. I'll come back tomorrow if I have something to do. Aaron Gaius, my pet should be in the house now. I advise you to open the door for me, or don't blame me for being rude. It's over now. Hearing this, Hermione's face turned pale instantly, and she slumped on the chair weakly. Harry and Ron were also anxious, but more guilty. Didn't they just abduct one? Well, fantastic beast cubs are worth more than cats, but it's only been over an hour. They were arrested and acted, which is unreasonable. Calm down first, don't talk. Hagrid comforted, he may not know that you are here too. Harry, you quickly take out the invisibility cloak, and lead the two of them into it. I'll make Noble and Abe dizzy again. As long as he doesn't find out, we have a chance to hide it. Hagrid, you have to be careful when you deceive yourself and others. Hermione smiled wryly. I don't know how we exposed it, but if Aaron wasn't sure, he wouldn't have come here at this time. Boom. The sound of kicking the door sounded again, hitting the hearts of several people hard. Then at least try it first, the door here is still quite strong, they don't come in so quickly, Harry, hurry up. It is good. Harry nodded immediately and took out the invisibility cloak, and Hagrid also pulled out his wand. Although he didn't want to hurt the magical animal cubs from the bottom of his heart, he couldn't care less now. If caught, not only him, but Harry and the others would also be punished, so, these two little guys should sleep a little longer. However, the next moment, a spell sounded outside the door, and everyone was stunned. Araho Cave is open. Lockpicking spell. As the name suggests, this spell can open the door lock. Although it has no offensive power, it can have miraculous effects at certain times, such as now. After casting the unlocking curse, the latch of the wooden door quickly fell off, and everyone in the hut watched the latch fall, and their hearts were cast in a haze. Outside the hut, Aaron sneered, kicked again, and the door opened completely. He ignored the messy house and the stunned people, and directly locked his eyes on the two dragons fighting in the sky, and then the corner of his mouth twitched involuntarily. Abe, who had switched to combat mode, was beating the Norwegian Ridgeback furiously, punching and kicking, making the opponent miserable. There are more bruises on the jet-black skin, and even the wings are a little asymmetrical. It is simply bullying the children by taking advantage of their size. Abe, come here. Aaron yelled, and Abe, who was beating happily, suddenly paused, kicked Noble to the table, and then flew to the ground. It quickly retracted its wings, and the white scales on its body also quickly faded. Its fangs and claws were retracted at the same time, showing a harmless and cute appearance. Abe glanced at Aaron with some trepidation, and lowered his proud leader in a grieved manner. The owner reminded him not to reveal his identity, but he forgot this warning in less than 2 hours after he left. Okay, who are you going to show this picture to? Aaron said, dumbfounded, and immediately picked it up, observed it carefully, and breathed a sigh of relief after confirming that it was not injured. Wow! Abe pointed distressedly at the charred parts of his hat and clothes, and then pointed at the fire dragon who was beaten by it and could hardly stand up, simply expressing that it did not expose it intentionally. Aaron laughed angrily at this action, and immediately put a new set of pet suits in front of it. Put it on first. Let's forget about this time, but why don't you understand? Abe nodded again and again, standing on the ground with 2 hind paws, and put on new clothes in a humane way. Draco, please close the door. Okay. Della nodded with a smile, turned around and plugged the latch. When the 3 of Harry saw that Draco Malfoy was also here, they immediately figured out some things they didn't understand. This guy must have followed them sneakily and then told Aaron the secret, otherwise there is no explanation. Now I just hope that Draco will come later. In case he hears about the Sorcerer's Stone and Snape, it will be a lot of fun. Aaron walked to a chair, wiped the dust on it casually, sat on it with a blank face and crossed his legs, and the oppressive feeling instantly lifted. I am very angry now, but I am still willing to talk to you calmly. Explain it. I give you a chance to explain. Several people looked at each other, but did not speak. Don't explain. Or did you say that you knew what nasty things you did, and you were embarrassed to explain? I think it's probably the latter. Draco said gloatingly, Gryffindors are like this, and it's almost normal for them to dare to act or not. Aaron, listen to my explanation first. Hermione gritted her teeth, actually. Stop, don't talk yet. No matter what the reason is, some things are done when they are done, without explanation, and what you said may not be true. I can't believe you anymore. Aaron said with some disappointment. Hearing this, Hermione's eyes turned red, but she tried her best not to cry. This matter was indeed dishonorable by her, and she had nothing to say. Please explain. Aaron looked at the other 3, let me hear what reasons you can make up. After a few seconds, still no one spoke. Don't tell me. It's really interesting. Let a girl charge forward and take the blame. You guys are really promising. That's right. Draco couldn't help applauding. I still admire Hermione Granger in this regard. Although she cheated Aaron, she is at least better than the famous Potter and Wes. Leto is responsible. Us. What? Does Weasley have something to say? Draco smiled provocatively. You had already put Abe on the table when I came, and I didn't know anything about it before, so I'm still curious about your plan. Can you tell me how you kidnapped Abe?" When Ron heard this, he clenched his fists angrily. Malfoy pointed at his nose and scolded him. He felt particularly aggrieved, but he didn't know how to refute. It would be too embarrassing to tell them that they had given Abe a sleeping pill to bring him here. While feeling humiliated, Harry secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Judging from the time, Draco didn't hear the conversation about the Sorcerer's Stone, which is a blessing in misfortune. "That's enough, I asked them to do it," Hagrid said helplessly. "I couldn't hold back the curiosity in my heart. I wanted to see what kind of species Abe was, so. Anyway, sorry, very sorry." "What does the Ministry of Magic need to do if an apology is useful?" Aaron said coldly. "Besides, you have to apologize because I caught you. Then if I don't know about you, can I just pretend that nothing happened? You should be glad that Abe was not injured, otherwise this matter would never have just been left alone." "Yes, that's it," Draco said, but his face became weird. "Aaron, do you mean to forget it? Is it too cheap for them? They almost sold Abe." "No, to be precise, it has already been sold, but there was a little accident in the process." "I know what you want to say." Aaron grabbed Abe's two front paws helplessly and lifted it up. "Actually, I don't want to just let it go, but this little guy's identity has also been exposed. If things become serious, do you think Abe's identity can be concealed?" "That. I didn't think about it, but what kind of magical creature is it?" "You'll know when it grows up. It's inconvenient to say it now." Aaron sighed, glanced at the other people in the room, and stayed on the Norwegian Ridgeback for an extra second. "A confidentiality agreement. Don't tell what happened tonight." Hagrid's eyes lit up. This is indeed the best way to solve the problem, and in this way his Norbert can also be kept. "That's a good idea. How about the fidelity charm? You can make Malfoy your secret keeper." Chapter 57 Written agreement is not necessarily easy to use without magic spells. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There's no need for that. Aaron said flatly. "How long can you hide the identity of that dragon?" "With the growth rate of dragons, its size will be several times its current size in less than 2 weeks, and after a month, your room may not be able to accommodate it. At that time, can you manage it like you do now? Even if you could, it would probably set your log house on fire if it sneezed accidentally, and then Hogwarts is well known, and the keeper of the forest farm has a dragon. I also know that I can't keep it forever," Hagrid said dejectedly, "but I'm not willing to throw it away like this. I can't do that. This is your business, not mine. It is completely superfluous to use the loyalty curse on a secret that is destined to be impossible to keep." "Abe." Harry looked at Aaron and said, "It's also a magical animal. It looked like this when school started, and it's still like this now, almost unchanged, but when Abe fought, he grew a lot, but now he has changed back to the original." "What do you want to say?" However, Hagrid wanted to understand something, and a gleam of hope appeared in his heart, and he begged, "You must have a way to let magical animals control the size. Can you help Norbert, that is, this Norwegian Ridgeback, also arrange it?" He. "Your imagination is really rich. Abe is a magical animal. I remember that there seem to be creatures in magical animals that can control their own size. Although there are not many, there are indeed 1 or 2 mentioned in the classics in the restricted area. To give a fairly simple example, werewolves will transform on the night of the full moon. Also, I don't understand where you got the face to ask me to do such a thing. Don't forget you just kidnapped my pet." "Sorry, I was in a hurry. Let's talk about the confidentiality agreement you mentioned first. What are you going to do about it?" "It's very simple." Aaron took out a piece of parchment and a pen directly from his pocket, and then began to write. "I found out about the identity of Abe's magical beast in February 1992, but with all my reputation, I promised not to would reveal its identity in any way." Hagrid picked up the parchment and looked at it carefully. His expression became strange. "This piece of paper is just ordinary paper, and the content of the agreement couldn't be simpler, but it's a bit too casual." "That's it? Are you sure?" "Of course, you just need to sign." "Aaron, isn't this a little too hasty?" Draco frowned. Even if you don't use magic props, you should at least write a more detailed agreement. What if they made Abbe's identity public? If they really want to do this, you can't stop them with any spell. Aaron said meaningfully, there is no shortage of wizards in the magic world who are willing to use their lives to violate the contract. Besides, I made a unilateral agreement. They knew Abe's identity, but we didn't know the existence of Noble at all. The discovery of Fire Dragon in the future has nothing to do with us. In other words, as long as we don't tell about Hagrid raising a dragon, they won't tear themselves apart from us. More importantly, it is impossible for Abe to hide it for a lifetime. It can be exposed today, but it may not be exposed tomorrow. The magic world will know its existence sooner or later. No matter how detailed the agreement is, it cannot restrain the entire magic world. So that's the case. Draco nodded. Then I'll sign it first. You don't need to. Aaron waved his hand, and looked at Hagrid meaningfully. Your mastermind, come and sign first. Hagrid picked up the pen with a guilty conscience, signed his name on the paper, and then consciously passed the agreement to Harry. Harry and Ron also knew that they were in the wrong, and after hesitating for a moment, they signed one by one. Finally, it was Hermione. She lowered her head, her pupils were slightly red, and she sat motionless on the chair. Granger, it's your turn. Draco said flatly. I see. Hermione sighed, wiped the corners of her eyes, tremblingly picked up a pen and wrote down the crooked name. The whole process lasted for more than half a minute, during which she didn't dare to lift her head, for fear of seeing Aaron's disappointed eyes. After signing, she felt empty in her heart, as if she had lost something. Okay everyone, see you tomorrow. Aaron put away the parchment blankly, picked up Abe and walked out the door. I hope this is the only and last time. You guys, do it yourself. Draco followed behind Aaron, but within a few steps, he suddenly thought of something, and turned around proudly to look at the other people in the cabin. It's a wonderful night, although the moon is not too round, but my mood is inexplicably good. Malfoy. Ron clenched his fists. You don't have to be weird there. Is there? Where am I getting weird? I also asked Weasley to point it out for me. Thank you very much. Okay, it's pointless to tease them. Let's go. Wait a minute. Draco sneered, and then looked at Hermione. Don't worry, I won't call you a mudblood again, but I won't lose to you in the final exam. Hermione rarely refuted, but nodded weakly. Draco, pay attention to your demeanor as a pure-blood wizard. Aaron said speechlessly, and didn't want to stay here any longer, so he opened the door and walked out. Hey! Wait for me. Draco hurriedly followed, not forgetting to close the door for Hagrid. After the two left, the atmosphere in the cabin became a little heavy. Harry, Ron, and Hagrid all looked at Hermione tacitly. Apart from losing face, they had nothing to lose tonight, but Hermione was different. She probably felt very uncomfortable. Hermione. Harry wanted to comfort her, but he didn't know what to say. Cry if you want to cry. Don't hold back. Hagrid sighed melancholy. Here are all our own people, no one will laugh at you. Hermione raised her head slightly, the red eye sockets began to burst, and crystal tears fell like broken beads. Sorry. Ron said with self-blame, it's all my fault. I forced you into this plan. It's not entirely your fault. Harry patted him on the shoulder. I'm also half responsible. Didn't you say it was safe? Hermione whimpered, it's fine now, I won't have the face to see him in the future. Are you happy? Harry and Ron couldn't lift their heads in embarrassment. Before they acted, they had sworn promises, but whoever wanted to be caught, just wanted to get Hermione out, and there were no conditions. It's all Malfoy's fault. Ron pursed his lips. If he hadn't been the informer, everything would have gone well. Neither. Hagrid interjected. Abe and Norbert got into a fight before Aaron and Malfoy kicked the door, and part of his clothes were charred. Even if Malfoy didn't come, tomorrow would be the same. You heard it. Hermione said regretfully, I shouldn't have helped you. He obviously believed me so much. Fantastic beasts are all entrusted to me for safekeeping, but woo. Don't cry, Hermione, we were wrong, there will be no next time. really. Harry said incoherently, he has never coaxed a girl when he grows up. Ron was also distraught and didn't know what to do. He did have experience coaxing his own sister, but the situation is completely different now. It's not like saying a few nice words to a few candies and then getting a good night's sleep to turn the page. They really played big this time. No matter how heartless he was, he knew he was sorry for Hermione. But he didn't know how to coax her well. Hagrid didn't feel very well either. Although he didn't participate in the action, he was the cause of the incident. In Aaron's words, he was indeed a mastermind. Oh. Apologize. Hagrid, you're confused. Ron smiled wryly. If an apology would solve the problem, Harry and I would have already apologized. It's not you, it's Hermione. Hermione hasn't apologized to Aaron from just now. I think at least I have to admit my mistake first and express my attitude. But as you saw just now, he didn't give Hermione a chance to speak at all, Harry said. That's better than doing nothing, just crying here. Yes, that's right. Hermione wiped the tears off her face, and managed to pull herself together. I have to catch up and apologize to him, whether he accepts it or not. Even scolding me is better than saying nothing. Just figure it out, let's go. It's best not to wait until tomorrow and apologize before he returns to the dormitory, said Hagrid. The sooner the better, the sooner the better. Understood, thank you, Hagrid. Hermione thanked, quickly opened the door, and chased out. We're going too, said Harry, about to pull Ron away. Don't drag me, I won't go. Ron said stubbornly, Draco is probably next to Aaron. If I go, I will lose my life. Ron, Hermione, even a girl, has the courage to apologize. If we two boys don't go, what's the difference between us and cowards? If I were Malfoy, I would look down on you even more. Hearing this, Ron gritted his teeth. If you lose face, you can lose face. That the two made a decision without stopping, and quickly ran towards the door. However, within a few steps of running out of the hut, the speed of the two slowed down, and their expressions became particularly unnatural. Filch was waiting for him outside with a lantern. Mrs. Norris squatted obediently at his right foot. What's worse, besides him was Professor McGonagall, who looked disappointed. Chapter 58 Double the Score Gap. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ha! There are still fish that slipped through the net. Filch sneered, but I'm not lucky, I have to fall into the trap myself. Good evening. Both of you. Professor McGonagall said with a sullen face, what are you doing standing there stupidly? Why don't you hurry over here? Harry and Ron just felt unlucky. Although they got the information from the professor who designed the mechanism to protect the Philosopher's Stone tonight, overall it was not worth the candle. The two walked up to Professor McGonagall anxiously, first lowered their heads, and then looked at Aaron and Draco suspiciously. Filch usually patrolled the castle. Why did he come to Hagrid's place suddenly tonight? And besides, he was accompanied by Professor McGonagall. They didn't think it was a whim, it was definitely an informer. Don't look at us like that, we were bumped into by Filch and Professor McGonagall just a few steps out. Aaron said disdainfully, so, don't use your suspicious eyes to insult our noble character. It's all thanks to Mrs. Norris. Filch said proudly, it found Aaron, then told me, and I called Professor McGonagall. In fact, he should have gone to Professor Snape. After all, he was the head of Slytherin, but his office was a little far away, but now it seems that they accidentally found the wrong person. There are actually 3 Gryffindors and 2 Slytherins, 3-2, Professor McGonagall, I don't know how you plan to deal with it. Close confinement, all confinement, but before I do that, I have to figure out why. Professor McGonagall looked at the 5 students in front of him blankly. What are you doing here at night? Don't know that students are not allowed to walk around the campus at night? Professor, let me tell you. Draco looked at Harry and the others with a sneer, and then took a step forward. Although we don't return at night, there is a reason for this. Of course, I'm talking about me and Aaron, not Potter, Weasley, and Granger. Are you trying to take the 2 of you out? Professor McGonagall said, don't think about it, no matter what the reason is, the confinement that should be closed cannot escape. The corner of Draco's mouth twitched, and he inadvertently caught a glimpse of the half-smile expressions on the faces of the three of Harry, and couldn't help feeling a little annoyed. "Professor, here it is, this evening when I, Crabbe, and Goyle were about to return to the common room, we happened to see three furtive figures. It is understandable to follow up and take a look out of curiosity. Of course, we respect the school rules very much and plan to return to the dormitory before the curfew. Come to the point, Malfoy, also, don't say it's so high-sounding, it's not very fair for you to follow others. Professor, I admit that my actions were out of style, but I don't regret it." Draco said indifferently, "Tonight, he is not the usual happy person. Although he is not the protagonist, he can also be said to be the key role that pushes the story to its climax. Although I was accidentally caught at the end, it didn't hurt. He and Aaron's punishment may be inevitable, but Harry's punishment will definitely be heavier. By comparison, he felt much better. We followed them quietly to Hagrid's hut, and we saw. Harry and the others planned to give Aaron's pet to Hagrid." "What?" Professor McGonagall frowned. "Is what Mr. Malfoy said true, that the three Gryffindors all lowered their heads and remained silent, and the silence at this time was the default?" "That's it, Professor McGonagall. Aaron is my best friend and I couldn't stand him being lied to, so I sent Crabbe and Goyle back to inform him. As for the latter, I won't say much. You guys let me down too much. Deduct points, deduct, points." Professor McGonagall said angrily, "You have gone too far. 50 points, that the three of them all opened their mouths. This number gave them too much shock. That's 50 points. 16 or 17 points will be deducted evenly for one person." Hermione was a little better. She might be able to make up for a few hard lessons, not including Snape's potions class, of course, but Harry and Ron were a little bit broken. It would be good if they didn't get deducted points. It would not be easy to make up for this big hole. 50 points deducted from each person. Professor McGonagall said lightly. Everyone. Ron was stunned, and Harry looked at each other, as if they could see the huge debts on each other. Draco looked at the three of them with a triumphant smile, not to mention how happy he was. "Why are you laughing? And when I say everyone I include you and Aaron." The smile on Draco's face faded instantly. "I'm sorry, Professor, I may have misheard. You mean we have to deduct 50 points too?" "Yes, you also violated the school rules. This is to ensure that you will not do it again in the future." "But this..." "There's no need to explain, Draco." Aaron patted Abe, who was in his arms. "I'll pay back your 50 points for you. It's just 100 points. It can still be settled at the end of the semester. It's not a question of points, it's not fair." Draco said angrily, "I have no objection to Professor McGonagall punishing us, but I don't agree with why the degree of punishment is the same as theirs. The three of them have nothing to lose except the same punishment as us." But Abe was almost injured. "But that's enough, this is the end of the matter." Aaron interrupted him loudly. Professor McGonagall was taken aback for a moment, as if he understood something, and turned to look at Aaron. "It is okay." "It's okay, I was just a little scared." "Scared? Are you sure it's just scared?" "Yes, I'm sure," Aaron said firmly. Professor McGonagall turned to look at Draco. "If you don't explain it for him, maybe you can deduct a little less points." "Not yet." Draco shook his head. "We'll be unlucky this time." "Ho ho. Filch, please keep an eye on them first. I will go to Hagrid to find out the situation." Professor McGonagall said meaningfully, "If you don't say it, someone will always be willing to say it. Hagrid is an honest man and won't lie." Seeing Professor McGonagall walking towards the cabin, the three of Harry panicked. "There is also a fire dragon in the hut. If it is found, Hagrid will probably die of distress." "Wait, Professor McGonagall, why don't I explain it?" Harry hurriedly stopped her. In fact, he didn't know what to say, but it's important to stop Professor McGonagall first. As for the rest, let's adapt. Then tell me, I'll listen. The thing is. Harry faltered, unable to utter a complete sentence. Professor McGonagall could naturally see his perfunctory, and sighed helplessly. "I'd better go find Hagrid." This time, no one blocked the way. because they knew in their hearts that Professor McGonagall would not let it go until he clarified the matter. "Aaron, is this okay?" Draco was a little worried. He didn't care if Norbert would be discovered, but it couldn't be discovered today. What if they are implicated and Abe's identity is exposed? Hagrid and the others signed a non-disclosure agreement, but in his opinion, that piece of paper is not binding at all, let alone at this juncture. "Don't worry, it's okay," Aaron said calmly. "Everyone knows the truth that more things are worse than less things. Hagrid is just stupid, not stupid, and he is no exception." "Hope so." Soon, Professor McGonagall's roar came from the hut. "How can you raise a dragon in school? How dare you, Hagrid? He has a dragon." Filch was surprised. "I know he likes all kinds of magical animals, but aren't dragons too exaggerated?" "We only found out about it," Aaron said. No one thought that Hagrid was so courageous. Professor McGonagall came out of the hut, let out a long breath, and walked up to several people. "How will Hagrid be punished?" Harry asked nervously. "He will definitely be fired," Draco said gloatingly. "Expulsion is unlikely. Fortunately, the dragon just broke its shell, and it still doesn't threaten the safety of the school. If it's older, it won't work if anyone asks for mercy, but he definitely can't keep him anymore. I will discuss it with Dumbledore to see where it is suitable to send him." Professor McGonagall said with some tiredness. "Aaron, Abe, does it really matter? I hope you tell the truth and don't have any qualms." "It's really fine. I watched Abe grow up. He is one of my few family members, and I will not let him suffer any grievances. It's just a pity that the clothes my mother specially prepared for it before school started were scorched by dragon flames." Abe also showed an aggrieved emoji at the right time, stretched his two paws to the top of his head, and pulled out a hat with burn marks from the dragon's breath from under the hat. The big eyes were covered with a layer of mist, which instantly filled Professor McGonagall with sympathy. "I'm so sorry, Aaron. As the head of Gryffindor, I didn't take good care of them. Abe was almost injured, and I was partly to blame." Professor McGonagall said earnestly, "I'm here to apologize to you. I was negligent. I didn't expect that things were more dangerous than I thought. Confinement is definitely unavoidable. This is a punishment for violating school regulations, but you and Draco can deduct less points as appropriate. Draco will deduct 10 points, and you will deduct 5 points. Chapter 59. You are listening at novelfull.audio. "Professor, this is not appropriate," Ron said hesitantly. 1 second before, he was gloating and wishing everyone would be unlucky, but in the next second, the punishment of the two Slytherins was reduced by more than half. This huge gap made him feel a little uncomfortable. "You have the nerve to say it? All this is not a good thing you three did. I've never blushed for a Gryffindor student like I do today." Professor McGonagall said angrily, "Stole Aaron's pet and almost hurt him. If it weren't for the fact that they also violated the school rules, you should take full responsibility. If you are not convinced, I can inform your father, and I believe that Mr. Arthur Weasley will seek justice for you." "You don't have to, Professor. Your punishment is very reasonable. I accept it, and I accepted it wholeheartedly," Ron said immediately. The word Songshin was vividly reflected in him. The Weasley family has a harmonious family and doesn't have so many rules. Although they are a little poorer, it is undeniable that they still have a lot of happiness, but there is a small premise: don't make mistakes, especially those unspeakable mistakes. If his father Arthur found out about what happened tonight, he might be fined if he was criticized, because the school had already punished him, but if his mother Molly found out, he would probably be criticized 5 times if he said nothing, and he would have to bear his mother's anger for a long time in the future, which was quite uncomfortable. Humph. Filch, these children will be entrusted to you. Business. Understood, Professor McGonagall. Filch chuckled lightly, looking at them with dark eyes. You must think twice before violating school rules in the future, but you should be thankful that the current punishment method cannot be compared with the past at all. Professor McGonagall, can I send Abe back before being locked up? It needs a good rest. Of course, it should be. Professor McGonagall looked at Abe with some distress. It was hard to imagine how such a harmless and cute little guy faced a fire dragon. It must have been terrified. Your punishment time is set for tomorrow night. At 11 o'clock tomorrow night, Mr. Filch will be waiting for you in the hall. Before that, you can take a good rest for a day, and think about how to explain to your respective colleges by the way. After speaking, Professor McGonagall looked at the three Gryffindors in disappointment, and left without looking back. Let's go too. Aaron sighed and walked towards the castle with Abe in his arms. Hermione opened her mouth, but hesitated to speak, and said nothing. Everyone, see you tomorrow. 15 points and 150 points, 10 times the difference. Tut tut tut, I've already thought of you being reduced to rats crossing the street. Seeing Draco's schadenfreude, the three of them gritted their teeth, very angry, but at the same time felt uneasy. Slytherin's score is far ahead, and Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff have been thrown out a lot, but Gryffindor may not have no chance to catch up, but what they did tonight directly wiped out that slight possibility. Back in the dormitory, Aaron sat on the bed and placed Abbe opposite him with a serious expression on his face. It's okay to be exposed this time, but we must be a warning. If you are wronged, come back and tell me. I will vent your anger for you, but don't take any more casual actions, understand? Abe nodded again and again, then took off his coat, revealing the charred clothes inside. Oh. Change it first. I know you are reluctant, but you still have to live. Abe put down his clothes, and then reached out his paws to dig in the front pockets of the clothes. Sweets, chocolates, lollipops, bread, apples, and pieces of jerky. What's even more exaggerated is that there are more than a dozen gold galleons and dozens of silver sickles inside, which is simply arrogant. Half a minute later, Aaron first glanced at the pile of coins, and then at the pile of snacks on his bed, which was twice the size of Abe, but was speechless. He picked up an apple casually, took a bite in front of the pet. It tastes good. Confiscated. Woo! Abbe wanted to cry without tears and pointed at the pile of snacks, showing deep reluctance. These were saved one by him, usually saving food and spending and showing cuteness. Still not convinced. Whoever exposed you tonight is punishment. Abbe turned a deaf ear to it, and threw himself on his snack mountain, showing a strong possessive desire, but when it met Aaron's eyes, it was still a little guilty, and carefully separated half of it and hugged it. This half is for you, and I will keep the other half. Nothing less. Aaron shook his head slowly. Abe's eyes became more crystal clear. He gritted his dragon's teeth, and divided his own half again. This time it really couldn't be less. Puff. Aaron was amused, patted its faucet, and then pushed the 3/4 of the snack it gave out. I just want an apple. Look, it scared you. Abbe was stunned for a moment, wept with joy, stretched out his little dragon fist and began to beat Aaron's chest. Okay, be more stable in the future, or I will confiscate all your treasures. Aaron said angrily. Abe stood up straight in an instant, quickly changed into another new set of clothes with the no trace stretch curse, and stuffed the snacks and coins he had taken out one by one. After the evacuation, the whole dragon is at ease, which is a sense of satisfaction that is at ease. Before the smile on its face dissipated, Aaron lifted it up and put it on its exclusive bed. Sleep well. You have to go to confinement with me tomorrow. Covering Abe with a blanket, Aaron also lay on the bed, but looking at the burn marks on Abe's clothes, he always felt that his dragon was at a disadvantage. Abbe did beat Norbert violently, but it was because of his age advantage, and he relied on his physical body to crush him. If he didn't know the dragon's breath, he didn't have much advantage in terms of attack. System, open Abbe's property panel. OK. Pet, Abbe, race, dragon, saint, unawakened. Magic energy, 304, increasing a little every day, although the potential is infinite, but now it is extremely weak. Innate ability, flying. Ah. Aaron sighed with some regret. The magic energy is only 304 points. If it is expected to evolve to the next stage naturally, it will take 196 days, which is more than half a year, but by that time, Norbert's size will have increased by at least 10 times, and it is estimated that he can kill it with a single paw. No matter, add some, evolve, the ability to breathe fire must be arranged for it. Aaron struggled for a moment, then generously invested 190 magic points, raising Abbe's magic power to 494 points, leaving 6 points as a buffer. He didn't dare to feed Abe all at once. This is Hogwarts. what if something happens when it evolves? The whole school would know that he had a magical animal, and he didn't want to feel the limelight. After class the next day, the students stopped when they passed by the huge hourglass that recorded the score of the college, and some even rubbed their eyes in disbelief. With such a big change in the hourglass in less than a day, something must have gone wrong, but when they looked at the past again, they sadly found that they were right the first time, so they had to accept this cruel fact. Number 1, Slytherin, 462 points, 477 points lower than yesterday's 15 points, although I don't know what happened, but this fluctuation is not exaggerated. Number 2, Ravenclaw, 406 points, number 3, Hufflepuff, 332 points, there is no change, but the problem is that number 4 Gryffindor has 299 points, which is a full 449 points lower than yesterday's 150 points. This is too exaggerated and outrageous. Before the students could figure out what was going on, word got out from Slytherin. Draco himself admitted in the auditorium that he was deducted 10 points, Aaron was deducted 5 points, and Harry, Ron, and Hermione in Gryffindor were deducted 50 points alone. He didn't say the specific details, but the students didn't need to know the details, and they didn't even doubt the fairness of the matter, because these points were deducted by Professor McGonagall. She is the Dean of Gryffindor, and she would not use 150 points to make such a big joke with her college. Then there is only one possibility: Harry and the others made a mistake, and it was quite a big mistake. After the news spread, the three of Harry were indeed reduced to street rats, as Malfoy said. Although not everyone shouted and beat them, almost no one gave them a good face. Gryffindor is like this, from number 2 to number 4, this gap is too big. The same is true for Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff. They have no joy of rising to one place, because Slytherin is still number 1, firmly on top of them. The Snake Academy has won the Academy Cup for 6 consecutive years. Both of their academies can't bear it, but they have to bear it. In this case, they tacitly put their hopes on Gryffindor, hoping to bring down Slytherin this school year. After all, the scores are not much different. As long as you work harder, it is entirely possible that the latecomers will come out on top, but now, the dream is broken. Chapter 60. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Unlike Harry and the others, Aaron and Draco not only did not receive any blank stares in this point deduction incident, but also indirectly became the heroes of Slytherin. Although Slytherin House didn't know why the two were deducted 15 points, but this point was nothing to two outstanding students, the kind that could be earned back in a few classes. Not to mention Aaron, almost every class is the object of extra points, and Draco alone contributed more than 15 points to Slytherin's House Cup this semester, and being able to replace Gryffindor's 150 points with points is definitely a surefire deal. It is true that Slytherin is number 1, but there is still number 2, Gryffindor, who is biting hard behind him. It is really worrying, and I am afraid that he will be caught up at any time, but now they are not worried. The score gap is too big, and unless a miracle happens, Gryffindor's bottom line is a certainty. Every Slytherin felt that this year's House Cup was stable, and their tense nerves were relieved a lot. Some students even started to celebrate in advance. You really don't need to do this. Aaron looked at the triumphant Draco and said speechlessly, after all, we have also been deducted points. This is nothing to be proud of. Okay. I admit that I am a little gloating, but everyone will know sooner or later. I just said it in advance. This time the incident was completely caused by the three of them. For some reason, we have to keep it a secret, but I am not willing to let it go, so I took this opportunity to add some trouble to them, but I didn't expect the effect to be so obvious. Draco said with the corner of his mouth involuntarily raised. Actually, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are the three Gryffindors who should be the heroes of Slytherin. 150 points. This time, Gryffindor College will definitely be at the bottom this time. Aaron, would you be interested in meeting them with me? See what they do. I suggest you get a good night's sleep. You have to be locked up at night. Aaron, I have to say a few words to you. Sleep is just to make our confinement a little bit easier. It doesn't matter. In contrast, it's really interesting to see Harry's frustrated faces. Draco said with great interest. He was faintly excited when he thought of Gryffindor's star being the target of public criticism, but seeing Aaron's lack of interest, he was a little speechless. I know you don't bother to add insult to injury, but this time it was their mistake. Even if you don't think for yourself, think for Abe. If it wasn't for being more powerful, it would have been bullied by Norbert last night. This. Aaron was stunned for a moment, looked at the nothing dragon who was lying on the table and yawned, and sighed slightly. This little guy was too heartless. Let's go. There is some truth in what you said. You can't be too nice to some people, but do you know where they are? You don't need to look for it at all. Draco said confidently, the negative popularity of the few of them has been raised by more than one level. They are the focus of attention wherever they go. It is easy to find them. 2. When the two walked out of the common room, the first classmate they met was Slytherin's. Millicent, do you know where Harry Potter is? Draco asked. I saw them at the library before, but they're probably gone now, except for Slytherin. The remaining 3 houses almost wanted to kill them with their eyes. Look. Draco smiled at Aaron. I said they would be street rats today. It's really pitiful. Millicent said, but it's just as it should be. In recent years, no one has been deducted 3-digit points. They deserve no sympathy. I know this. These are points deducted by Professor McGonagall. They were deducted by the Dean of Gryffindor himself. It is absolutely fair and just. What the hell did they do last night? Can you tell me about it? I promise not to tell anyone. This won't work. Draco said confidently, I can't tell you that they were deducted so many points because... Ahem. Aaron coughed, and then gave Draco a look you could understand. Just kidding, we want to keep it a secret. Oh. Millicent nodded thoughtfully, and did not ask further questions tactfully. After Millicent entered the common room, Aaron looked at Draco meaningfully. What were you going to say just now? Don't get me wrong, I know how to measure. I just want to say that they steal students' belongings and that's all. Abe is also considered your personal property, so there should be nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with talking, but don't talk nonsense. Sometimes being unable to control your mouth is more terrifying than being unable to control your hands. Understood. The two went to the library, but they couldn't find Harry and the others, so they asked a classmate casually and went to the auditorium. However, when they arrived at the auditorium, they were told that the 3 of Harry had moved to another place. What the hell, can't you just stay in one place for a while longer? Draco said a little depressed. Adding insult to injury was what he had planned a long time ago, although it was a little unkind, but who made him not deal with those people? Let alone Ron. The grievances between Weasley and Malfoy may have to be pushed forward for hundreds of years. Harry made him uncomfortable in public at the beginning of school, and usually ignored him and often made things difficult for him. As for Hermione, she has failed her friend's trust, so it's only natural to mock her. But I never expected that these people are as slippery as loaches, and they can't even find them, so they can make trouble. This is normal. They can be said to be criticized by thousands of people now, and they will probably die of shame if they stay in one place. If I were them, I would hide in a place where no one can find me, or where there are few people. The Gryffindor common room? Draco said thoughtfully, hiding in the dormitory and closing the door is a good way to escape, but they can't hide forever. There is another place, Hagrid's hut. Aaron reminded, it's a better choice than the Gryffindor common room. If this is the case, then your thoughts may have to be postponed. After all, there is a giant protecting them. Not at all. They dare to go there. The Norwegian Ridgeback problem should not be resolved yet, right? Are they not afraid of meeting Dumbledore and being criticized again? Draco said with a twitch at the corner of his mouth. Based on what he knew about Harry and the others, all 3 of them should be hiding in Hagrid's hut if nothing else happened. There are no other people's eyes, nor those Ian and Yang words mixed with accusations. It is definitely the best refuge. Let's go back. No matter where they are hiding now, they will always meet in the hall at night. Draco nodded, but still felt a little regretful in his heart. Today is definitely the most difficult day for Harry and the others, but tomorrow will be different. Many people will passively accept reality after a night of sleep. After a while, the limelight will gradually weaken, and their situation will be much better. After 10 o'clock in the evening, Aaron and Draco headed towards the foyer from the common room. Before I got close, I heard Harry Potter's voice from inside. What disagrees with me quitting the Quidditch team? And he also expects me to win the game as a seeker and earn back the score, but just as a seeker, they looked at me strangely. And they didn't even call me by my name, they just called me Seeker, which felt out of place. It's okay, everyone will forget about these things in a few weeks. Ron comforted. Fred and George also get deducted points often, but they are still very popular. They must not have been deducted 50 points all at once. Not really. Ron said angrily. Hermione and I are in a better situation. After all, our reputation is not as big as yours, but no one wants to talk to us now. They're all here. Draco walked over with a smile. I thought you were fired, but I haven't found you for a long time today. Malfoy, are you here to add insult to injury? Harry said angrily. Misunderstood, really misunderstood. Draco walked up to Harry with a smile on his face, and continued to applaud. I came to express my thanks. You really did a great favor to Slytherin. 150 points, God knows how long it will take to earn it back. Potter, Granger and Weasley, if you want to switch to Slytherin, you must tell me, and I will help you. The big deal is to pull down my face and ask my dad to meet Dumbledore, and use the status of the school board to get him to agree. You're too deceitful. Ron pointed at him angrily, and was about to rush up to a duel with him. Enough. Aaron shouted, do you think the deductions are too small? I need to remind you that Filch will be here soon.